Good evening, hello, welcome to Varsity Sports Live. Tom Nieman along with Jason and Andera as we hit about the halfway point of the high school football season.
Is it the halfway point?
We're there, Jandy. We had some more weather in the Dakotas tonight that affected some games, and there were some upsets, especially in South Dakota.
Right off the top, we not only had a #1 team lose, we had multiple #1 teams lose in South Dakota. We'll get to some of those highlights later on, but man, Warner got knocked off, Harrisburg gets knocked off, Sioux Falls Christian gets knocked off. We had a tornado go through the state. We had a monsoon in Box Elder, South Dakota, and that's just South Dakota. We got a lot in North Dakota to get to, too.
We'll take a look at Douglas and Harrisburg, that upset coming up in a little bit. Let's rip through a bunch of scores here, starting in North Dakota. And Jody Norstedt is standing by with all your highlights. Fargo South gets to 4-0 with a win on homecoming tonight against Fargo North, 14-6 the final there. Red River and Central at the half. They were in a lightning delay, and still no final on that one, but Grand Forks Central leading 19-7.
It's been a while since Central's won in this rivalry, so that's a nice lead for them.
Fargo Davies and West Fargo Cheyenne. Cheyenne evens out at 2-2 with a win over Davies tonight. Minot just completed a 28-0 win. Brett Davis and Dylan Danielson, 2 touchdowns apiece for the Magi in that one. Bismarck High on Thursday night. This was last night. They beat Mandan 27-20. Bismarck Century gets to 3-1, 34-0 over Dickinson tonight, and Jody's got highlights of that one coming up. In 2A in North Dakota, Whippeton on Valley City. Wahpeton gets to 3-1, and Fargo Shanley gets to 4-0, a 48-7 win over Central Cass tonight. In Class A in North Dakota, EEK over Lisbon, 34-12. EEK is 4-0 now, so is Langdon Munich, 40-8 over West Hope Newburgh Glenburn. In Class A, Hillsborough Central Valley stays undefeated at 4-0 with that win. No report yet on Beulah and Killdeer, both of those teams 3-0 going into that game tonight. Another Class A game, and this looks like an upset, Jandy. Delax Burlington over Minot Bishop Ryan, 14-7 the final there.
Low-scoring game, but yeah, Delax Burlington needed that win at home especially.
And in 9-man in North Dakota tonight, Cavalier with a win over St. John. Cavalier gets to 5-0 on this season. Other 9-man scores, Shiloh Christian gets to 5-0 with a win over Beach. Wyndmere Lingerwood 56-14, and they are also 5-0. And in 9-man, Thompson big over Hankinson tonight in a matchup of 3-1 teams. Thompson gets to 4-1, and North Prairie leading in the fourth over TGU 30-16 there. Highlights again with Jody coming up in a couple of moments. In South Dakota tonight, Jason, Sioux Falls O'Gorman over Lincoln 47-7.
Leave no doubt they're the #2 team in the state, and earlier this season Roosevelt was the #2 team in the state. The score looks pretty good, but Coach Nelson not too happy with his team's performance. We'll hear from him later in zone coverage.
All right, Roosevelt gets to 3-1 with that win. Sioux Falls Washington goes to Mitchell and wins 45-7, first loss of the season for Mitchell.
No Tupac Capella in that game, no Carson Max for Mitchell. Washington still gets it done.
Watertown led 14-0. Brookings came back with a couple of second half touchdowns. They missed an extra point for the tie there. Brookings had the ball late but could not get it in, and Watertown gets away with a 14-13 win at Brookings. Rapid City Stevens, Jandy, is 3-1 on the season. They beat Aberdeen Central.
They've got a few playmakers on this team, and 2 weeks in a row now, Stevens has really shown that their defense might be top level.
Cody Bevere with a big return, and we'll take a look at those highlights coming up in a little bit. Here's one of the upsets. Sioux Valley over Sioux Falls Christian, big game in 11B.
Both teams have 200-yard rushers. I'm talking about averaging 200 yards per week as a rusher, and they kept it on the ground in this one. We had a tornado warning delay, and highlights coming up of that one.
I don't know if you'd call it an upset either. Sioux Valley gets to 4-0. It's the first loss for Sioux Falls Christian. Big matchup in 11A. Del Rapids beats West Central 35-13. We've got some highlights of that one coming up. Brandon Valley, Braden Peterson, 4 more touchdowns for him tonight as the Lynx get to 3-1.
I keep giving props to that offensive line in Brandon Valley. They handled the Cobblers tonight.
Pierre got a huge game from Peyton Zabel, 6 total touchdowns, 4 of them through the air as they beat Huron 43-0.
18 of 30 tonight, another 250-yard yards passing in the game. Ran for 76 and 2 more. Peyton Zabel keeps pouring on the stats. Big win for them.
Pierre is 3-0. They've still got to finish up that rain-delayed game they had against Harrisburg. That's coming up on Tuesday the 26th. Harrisburg at Douglas tonight, and this is the upset as the Patriots win at 14-13 in a crazy finish at the end.
That's going to shake up the rankings a little bit. We'll take a look at how that happened.
St. Thomas More rebounds after that loss last week, beat Sturgis 36-0. Spearfish over Bellefouche, first win of the season for Spearfish as they win at 36-13. 11A, big battle, Tri-Valley and Dakota Valley. Tri-Valley led this game 35-14. They went to overtime and Dakota Valley pulls it out 42-41.
Crazy game there. And those are two contenders in 11A this year. 11A is really shaping up to be a fun class. Del Rapids showing what they can do. Dakota Valley, Tri-Valley, a lot of good teams in this class.
T-Area, Hunter West with 3 touchdowns in that game as T-Area goes to 4-0. Madison also did win tonight, beat Vermilion big. In 9-man in South Dakota, Howard in 9A, and Irene Wakanda is a 9AA team, but Irene Wakanda wins this one 42.
How about that? I really had Howard pegged as the #1 team in 9A, but tonight Trey King showed he might be one of the best players in all of 9-man football. Had a tremendous night. Big win for Irene Wakanda.
Well, a couple of highlights of that one coming up a little bit later, too. And Sully Buttes in 9B.
Big win
They
for them.
stay undefeated, get to 4-0. First loss of the season for Warner, the top team in 9A in South Dakota. We got highlights from South Dakota coming up. We're going to kick back for about 20 minutes or so, and I think we're going to let Jody Norstedt up in Fargo go to work on the North Dakota highlights tonight. I know you just got into the seat there, Jody. Take it away.
Yeah, how about this? It was a very soggy afternoon, guys, a very soggy evening, and I got soaked. A lot of our shooters got soaked, but hey, we're here to do Varsity Sports Live. So let's jump right into it. And we start with a good 3A matchup, Red River and Central, the Cushman Classic. Always a fun battle when these two teams meet, both kind of looking to get their season sparked a little bit. Central coming in with just 1 win on the year, Red River with 0 wins on the year, 0-3. Red River's Landon Hoganson punches it up the middle, about 25 yards on the first drive, but they're stopped from scoring late in the first quarter. Now Central's Zach Murphy runs all over the place to get this 45-yard touchdown for the first touchdown of the game. Knights go in front 7-0. On the next Red River possession, the Knights force a kick, and they're going to end up blocking it. As a result of such good field position, here's the block. Not much of a block, but they cover it up anyway. As a result of the great field position, Zach Murphy again, this time powering his way in, just dragging defenders across the goal line. As you can see, the rain start to fall. Central up 13-0. After another stop by the Knights, Central marches down again. Murphy in the end zone, his 3rd of the night. Again, they miss the extra point, so it's 19-0. It's tough to kick in these wet conditions. During the last 3 minutes of the half, Red River charged down the field behind runs like this from Landon Hoganson. Wow, tough to take down. To cap off the half, Hoganson scores a touchdown with 30 seconds left. Take a look, the handoff, and here goes Hoganson into the end zone to cut it to 19-7 at the half. He's fired up. It's rivalry night, so why not? But we take a look at the final score. Central does win this one 33-20. So the Knights come out on top and beat Red River for one of the first times. I believe it was an 8-game winning streak for Red River in this series. So congratulations to the Central Knights. That is a big win for Grand Forks Central. They are at Fargo Davies next week. Red River doesn't get much easier. They're at West Fargo next week. Bismarck Century coming off back-to-back wins. The defending champs hosting 0-3 Dickinson tonight. Dickinson coming out of its team huddle, fired up, trying to get a big win on the road, their first win of the year perhaps. Jacob Olson, he's gotten off to a little bit of a rough start, was first-team All-State last year, but here finds Cade Lynch, who's back on the field. Great to see Cade back out there. He's been coming back from an injury, and I think we had a few more highlights on there. But we'll go to the scoreboard. That was to Cade Lynch for a big touchdown. 34-0, Bismarck Century wins it. They are at Williston next week. Meanwhile, Dickinson goes to Mandan. A couple of teams that could be playoff contenders this year in the East squaring off as Davies trying to get back-to-back wins against a talented Cheyenne squad, losers of 2 straight. The Mustangs were feeding the beast tonight, and that beast was wearing number 34 in blue. Jason Garnop takes the handoff, runs right through a big hole, makes it 7-0. That had the home crowd getting rowdy early. This was the point where they didn't know it was about to be a torrential downpour. Keep that in mind. Before we get there, though, Davies had the answer. Isaac Fanai on the pitch. He flies in front of the camera 47 yards, just inside the pylon for the TD. They botched the extra point, so Cheyenne stays on top 7-6. All sorts of big plays early. Check this one out. Cheyenne quarterback Parker Sander takes off, and it's Run, Forrest, run. He sprints up the sideline. Davies defenders behind him. They finally catch up to him to push him out of bounds at the 10. A couple plays later, they go back to their workhorse for the night. Galrap with some more great blocking in front of him. Crosses the goal line for his second touchdown. 14-6 Mustangs. You can see it, folks. You can see the rain falling, and here is more of it. The skies open up and just dump a whole bunch of water. Some fans ran to their cars. These guys were crazy enough to stay. Jeremy Newton, well, he had no choice. The rest of the game was about defense. Here the Mustangs going for it on a 4th down. Sanders' pass is knocked down by the defense. Davies hoping to bring the thunder. Thankfully, there was no thunder. They needed a touchdown here late to get close to time. They go for it on 4th and 2, but Matthew Franzvog makes the stop. Cheyenne gets the ball with about 7 minutes to go, and they run the clock down and punch it in. Galrap, how about the hat trick for the senior running back? Davies scores late, but Cheyenne holds on for the 22-12 victory to get back to 500 on the season. Meanwhile, Davies drops to 1-3. They get Central next week. Cheyenne, a big one to get at North next week, and we will bring that to you live on Midco Sports Network. Big night for Galrap with 3 touchdowns. We were treated to a great game last night as Mandan and 5th-ranked Bismarck played to overtime at the Community Bowl. Mandan starts the scoring. Caden Krause finds Elijah Klein. Beautiful play, 24 yards out. Braves up 7-0. This would not be the last time you hear from this duo. Take a look at this candidate for play of the week. Krause's pass tipped, ends up in the hands of Easton Miller. Setting up this plunge by Jackson Zittelman into the end zone. Braves up 14-rip at halftime. But the second half was a different story for the Demons. Jalen Sprecher breaks a couple of tackles and finds his way into the end zone. Lead cut to 14-6. First play of the 4th quarter. The Demons strike again. Will Madler dives into the end zone. 2-point conversion attempt fails. Mandan still up 14-12. Bismarck scores 20 unanswered points. Sprecher gets the edge and he's gone. Must be the camo unis. He goes for 37 for his second touchdown. 2-point conversion good. Bismarck up 20-14. Now the exciting part, last play of regulation. Krause is going to leap into the end zone to tie the game at 20. PAT's block. We're headed to overtime. Bismarck starts OT on the right foot. First play Madler to Tanner Davis. Demons lead at 27-20. Mandan with one final chance. 4th and goal. Krause overshoots his receiver. Bismarck rallies and survives to win it 27-20. Boy, what a win for the Demons. Mandan has just been snake bit. 2 overtime losses now for Mandan, who also lost in overtime against Fargo South, who Bismarck will play next week. But here's what Jalen Sprecher had to say after the dramatic win for the Demons.
Gibson's one of the best at giving those amazing halftime speeches to get his teams into shape. So, I mean, with his words plus the will to win from that front line for sure really sent us forward in that second half. You know, it always feels good. You got both crowds ripping and roaring at the end there, and, you know, coming out with the last point really feels good.
Shanley is happy to be back home after a road game. That's Caden Kuhneman. Broke his collarbone, so the quarterback is out for probably 6 to 8 weeks, but right now it's not mattering. Cole Fredericks takes the handoff 45 yards to the house. Extra point miss. Shanley up 6-0 early. The early momentum carried to the defensive side of the ball. Look at that hit by Jake Cava. He is a grown man, folks. Lays a serious stick there. After a Squirrels punt, pins the Deacons deep. Cade Busek says, that doesn't really matter. Cam Seville, 32 yards, no problem. The Central Cast defense holds. Deacons, actually, no, they didn't hold. Here's the touchdown. That was Cam Seville for the score. Deacons up 14-rip. You heard Cava's name on the defensive side of the ball. This time it's an offense. Check out this catch by Cava. One-handed, are you kidding me? 14-yard touchdown. Deacons in control, 21-zip. The Shanley defense was relentless tonight. Brady Quark gets the sack on Central Cast's Jonah Leach. Defense getting it done. The Deacons score on their first 4 drives of the game. Boy, Fredericks has some sort of wheels on him. Up the sideline, somehow getting into the end zone when all those players were right next to him. Shanley stays undefeated. The Deacons roll to a 48-7 victory. So Shanley's still unbeaten. Bismarck St. Mary's still unbeaten. Bismarck St. Mary's, the #1 team in Class 2A, will get the #3 team, Devils Lake. That'll be a game tomorrow. Central Cass will have to go to that big road trip next week at Watford City. How about a good single A matchup? Bishop Ryan still unbeaten, trying to work his way into the state polls, visiting last year's state runner-up, Galax Burlington. Bishop Ryan moving the ball early. Ben Bull, a terrific quarterback, and he can make plays like this. On the draw, gets to the outside and steps out of bounds. Lions offense in business. Out of the shotgun again. Bull hands off to Hayden Shaw, who takes it down to the 5-yard line. So Bishop Ryan just chipping away. Bull gets Bishop Ryan on the board. Taking the read option to the end zone, crossing the goal line. Lions go up 7-0. The Lakers trying to respond. Remember, they were in the state championship game a year ago, but Colton Batuska fumbles after a nice game. Bishop Ryan recovers. Defense, really the theme of the night. Theme of the night across the state with how sloppy it was out there. Caleb Beater trying to find some running room, but the Deluxe Burlington defense, of course, not allowing any push. Lakers driving, but watch the great pass here from Jager to London and Allen Sheeg. Bishop Ryan still up 7-0. It's all about defense, folks. Deluxe Burlington desperately trying to mount a comeback. Jacob Rudin takes the end around to the outside for a nice gain. The Lakers rally to score 14 unanswered points. And take a look at that. They beat Bishop Ryan, handing the Lions their first loss of the season, 14-7. Deluxe Burlington will play Newtown next, while Bishop Ryan takes on Stanley. We had a bunch of great games in 9-man. Let's start with #1 Cavalier. The Tornadoes with a tough test against 3-1 St. John. The Woodchucks trying to make a big statement tonight. First quarter, not much going for either team on offense. St. John QB Briar Parisian tries a screen pass to Caleb LaRock, and that's just not a good idea in the rain. Cavalier recovers. Ensuing drive, Austin Erlob back in at quarterback. We haven't seen him since week 1 when he suffered that injury, and boy, he's looking pretty good on that play. He keeps it himself down to the 5 a few plays later. Erlob calls his own number again and finds the end zone. 6-0 Tornadoes. He's wearing number 8 after his jersey was ripped off, so that's why you might have the confusion. Both teams' next drive stall, but Cavalier opens up the passing game in the rain. Erlob to Conley Carrier for a big gain. Then Erlob goes down to the other sideline. This is the guy that had been replacing him for the last couple of games, and again, they haven't missed a beat without Erlob because this guy's been well. Jaden Laxdal, he can make some nice catches too. Next play, Tristan Scott goes untouched up the middle for the score. 14-0 Cavalier after the 2-pointer. And the Tornadoes continue to pound teams. They win it 30-0. St. John came in 3-1. But boy, Cavaliers at a whole different level right now. They're at Larimore next week. Another good 9-man showdown in Richland where the Colts were trying to deal 3rd-ranked Wyoming Lidgerwood its first loss of the year. How about kissing the Bison? Loving that down in Colfax at halftime. Colts down 15 at half, trying to rally back. Cole Myers to Trenton Duffner. They connect on a big play that covers nearly 40 yards right in front of our camera. Nice work, Trenton. Down to the Warbirds 17, but the next play, a complete momentum shift. Myers to the air, picked off by Ismail Vasquez, and he has nothing but green in front of him. Runs to the farm elevators over there. He sprints 90 yards the other way. That extends Wyoming Lidgerwood's lead to 36-14. Colts next possession. Myers running out of trouble. He's going to launch it downfield, looking for Duffner again. Putting up a prayer, but Wyatt Harless, the QB, who makes a lot of interceptions too on defense, comes up with another pick, and the threat Warbirds move it down the field exclusively with the ground game. Luke Furch around the edge and in from 5 yards out for the touchdown. The lead is up to 42-14, and yet another Richland interception. Wyoming Lidgerwood again makes the Colts pay. Marching down the field, Tyrell Guy caps it off, bullying his way in from 6 yards out. Warbirds up 49-14, they go on a win and stay unbeaten, 56-14. Wyoming Lidgerwood averaging, I think, somewhere around 46, 47 points per game right now. They play Hankinson next, which is a good segue. Another showdown in Region 1 had 4th-ranked Thompson at Hankinson, a pair of 3-1 teams that could really take a big step forward with a win. Thompson making the trek to I-29 to see Hankinson. Tommy's moving it down the field, opening possession. Caden Schwab, he pumps, fires, Marcus Hughes touchdown. It's 6-zip. Pirates respond on the kickoff return. Hayden German bursting through a crease in the middle of the field. It's like the parting of the Red Sea, but it was white, and this guy's wearing blue. Down to the 16-yard line before he's finally taken down. But 2 plays later, Skylar Keller fumbles the football inside the 10. That's a no-no, Skylar. Coughs it up. So a big turnover. Adam Ackerman jumps on it for Thompson to end the threat. It was 6-0 after the first. Hankinson will get the ball back and move it down the field. Mason Falk quickly slips through a hole right off the snap, grades the defender. Climb aboard, 15 yards for the touchdown. Pirates get the 2-pointer to take the lead, but Thompson responds on its very first offensive play of the next possession. Schwabe to Cole Sorby, and this guy is some sort of athlete. He hits the Jets and outruns everybody, 52 yards for the touchdown, and it's a 14-8 game. After another Pirate turnover deep in their own territory, Tommies capitalized quickly. Nick Reck bounces outside. He had the big week last week, over 200 yards rushing. This one was from 5 yards out, makes it 20-8. The Tommies roll 48-16, moving to 4-1. Hankinson drops to 3-2. So a couple of big finals there. We will have north-south highlights later on for you. The Bruins did hang on for a 14-6 victory. We'll keep you posted when we have those. But guys, a busy night. It was sloppy. It meant a lot of turnovers and different stuff like that. But we also have those big games coming up tomorrow, and we'll preview that later.
Your hair looks fantastic for being in the rain, Jody.
I had my hood up, and I got rained on a little bit. I was a little bit concerned, but makeup and getting back here a little bit early does wonders, guys.
Nice work, Joe.
He's
Catch
good.
your breath. Thanks a lot. Again, the Fargo North, Fargo South highlights coming up in a little bit. And West Fargo plays at Bismarck Legacy Saturday, and Jody's got a preview of that coming up as well, coming up a little bit later. When we come back, we've got some South Dakota highlights tonight from Sioux Falls and Mitchell and Rapid City and Volga and all over the state as the Knights roll tonight, and we'll be right back.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance Agency and South Dakota State University.
All right, welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Let's get to South Dakota highlights tonight. And Jandy, our live game here on Midco Sports Network was Sioux Falls Lincoln taking on Sioux Falls O'Gorman.
Yeah, two teams when we went into the season, we didn't really know what to expect from either team, but we found out a lot about this O'Gorman team. Explosive plays ruled the night. Here's a big play to get things started to Canyon Bauer.
Always great athletes on this team. Canyon Bauer with the grab there from Isaac Struck. Struck had a big night. And a little bit of defense as well from the Knights.
A lot of defense. There was a lot of short passes. There's White Vanden top, but they really secured the outsides. Did not allow Lincoln to have a good drive in the first half. And another big drive for the Knights, and that's Evan Wittry.
OG's got a running back, don't they? Evan Wittry with that first touchdown. He is a big kid, just a junior. They had another
Second
touchdown here.
That one was a 45-yarder. Excuse me, I don't mean to talk over you, but that was a big moment in the game.
Big runs for Wittry, the big kid. 20-0 at the half. O'Gorman in the lead. Wittry going back to work, and again, he's 210 pounds, and he can pound it. And Struck too.
Okay, Canyon Bauer looked over his shoulder and looked that one in. That was an amazing catch. And Isaac Struck had a great night. He ran this one in, threw 3 more touchdowns. 4 touchdowns for Struck. This was his best game as a high school athlete.
34-0 after that Struck run, and then a little throwback here to Wittry. And he is gone 40-0. Lincoln did get on the board late. This is Vanden top will make a touchdown catch here.
Terrell Eisenbraun filled in at quarterback for Lincoln. This is not Terrell, by the way. His older brother Preston is out for the rest of the season, another knee injury. Just a tough night for Lincoln, but he got some good experience on the night. Here's a pick 6 here by Mr. George
Schwartz. That is brutal news about Preston Eisenbraun, though, as Lincoln drops to 0-4 on the season. OG, though, rolling 47-7. They gave Washington a game a week ago, and the Knights are for real. And again, Struck 4 touchdowns tonight, and Evan Wittry, a big night on the ground for O'Gorman. Sioux Falls Roosevelt also playing at home tonight at Howard Wood Field, taking on Yankton. There were several 3A against 2A games going on tonight, and Delvin McManus with a little run on the short pass there, and then Brady Dannenbring, young quarterback, just a sophomore for Roosevelt, touchdown run there to make it 7-0. Carter Lohr came in, he threw 2 touchdown passes, and Nathan Varnes had a big night.
You know, they've been rotating the quarterbacks, and I kind of like it. Most people don't like having 2 quarterbacks, but they really bring different aspects to the team. They both can play. It's nice to have 2 guys and give Lohr some time, and Varnes makes his first big play of the season.
Roosevelt got up 13-0. Garrett Tennant has played very well, actually, for Yankton in the last couple of ball games. Rex Reichen is a monster at wide receiver for Yankton.
Reichen made his big show last week with 2 touchdowns, got 2 more touchdowns. You'll see the next one coming up in a little bit. Big week. Here, watch this crazy catch, by the way. Reichen even catches it when it's not thrown to him. He does such a nice job with the hands.
Nice. Yankton got a field goal. It was a 13-10 game. Roosevelt went on a long drive to start the third quarter, and then Dannenbring here to Varnes again. Varnes had 6 catches, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Roosevelt had 27-10 lead, but then Tennant again to Rex Reichen hauling that in to make it 27-17.
Yeah, Rex Reichen just a junior and maybe one of the best wide receivers in the state at this point. So it was onside kick time. What do? Kick it to Travis Pearson, and he doesn't go down, folks. Look at that.
He did not. Pearson goes 60-some yards here, and Roosevelt wraps it up with that. 34-7 is the final against a very game Yankton Bucks team tonight, but the Bucks go to 0-4, and Roosevelt gets to 3-1, and the big numbers there for Nathan Barnes.
Yeah, Nathan Barnes had his biggest showing as a senior this year. Lohr did a good job throwing the ball, and Nick Hookster didn't run as well, but 5 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. He's getting it done as well.
Good one in Brandon coming up next, or in Sioux Falls with Brandon Valley taking on Roosevelt next week. We'll hear from Kim Nelson, the Rough Rider head coach, coming up in our next segment in zone coverage. Speaking of Sioux Falls, Washington, the Warriors were on the road in Mitchell tonight at Joe Quintal Field. Washington riding a 25-game win streak coming into this game. They led 24-0 at halftime and poured it on here early in the third quarter. Jaden Johansson to Shiloh Flanagan.
Shiloh Flanagan is an electric receiver. He and Zach Hines have been making tremendous plays in the passing game this year. And they even got Peyton Yonke they can throw to, so they piled it on in the second half.
Yonke with the grab there. Drew Kitchen scored a late touchdown for Mitchell in this one, but Washington rolls 45-7. 4-0 are the Warriors.
Have to note, Tupac Capella had a shoulder injury, did not play in this game. Carson Max for the Mitchell Colonels was also out, so both top running backs out, but the result of the score was never in doubt.
All right, we expect to hear from Washington head coach Chad Statham coming up in our zone coverage segment as well in a couple of minutes. Out in Rapid City, you see Washington play Stevens next week. Stevens,
they're ranked
2-1 going into this game against Aberdeen Central. And Preston Barr doing some damage on the ground early for Aberdeen Central, but Stevens' defense was strong all night. They would get the shutout, and then Cade Ellis going to work for the Raiders.
Cade Ellis came out with such a underwhelming first week, but has really played well in the last couple of weeks now. They were getting their running game going lately, and Stevens is much improved.
First play of the second quarter there, Ellis in for the touchdown. Raiders go up 7-0. That's all they would really need, but Cody Bevere is a big play guy for Rapid City Stevens.
This guy might only touch the ball 5 or 6 times a game, and 1 or 2 of them are going to go in the end zone. He is an exciting player to watch.
Zoom. The taillights once he gets past midfield. 96 yards on the kickoff return touchdown for Cody Bevere. And the Raiders are 3-1 as they shut out Aberdeen Central at home tonight, 14-0 the final in this one, Jandy.
Yeah, good job on defense again. Another shutout. Last week did a great job against that Watertown high-powered attack. Kept them down to get the win. So the Raiders on a little bit of a roll now.
At Sioux Falls, Washington coming up next for Rapid City Stevens. In 11B tonight, big matchup in Volga, Jason. You got Sioux Valley at home at 3-0. Sioux Falls Christian coming in at 3-0. And this one, they got through the first quarter anyway, playing some defense. Damian Lucas is a running back for Sioux Valley. He gets stopped here, but he would get going later in the ball game. And then Tyler Schwartz is going to come up with an interception right here for the Cossacks to get him the ball back.
Defense is the name of the game, and both teams have great rushing attacks, but both held up very well in the first half.
No score after one quarter. They went through a long weather delay, some nasty weather going through the Volga area. And then this is Schwartz on a 56-yard touchdown run to make it 7-0 Sioux Valley.
Nice play by Sioux Valley to get on the board, and they're better than people think. They've won all their games this year, just like Sioux Falls Christian, and they really played a physical game to march down the field on that one.
That is Damian Lucas, who we showed earlier, made it 14-8. Parker Nelson, by the way, took off a kickback for a touchdown to make it 8-7 at halftime, but Sioux Valley gets in the lead, and then Lucas again here in the fourth quarter goes in from 10 yards. It's 21-8 with the home team in the lead, and Sioux Valley wins at 21-14.
Get to know Damian Lucas, folks. He has been a quarterback for Sioux Valley over the past couple of seasons. This year, moved to running back, and like I said, has averaged over 200 yards per game rushing, and he got it done against a very tough Charger defense. These Cossacks are for real.
Lucas 2 touchdowns tonight. Sioux Valley is 4-0, and that is the first loss of the season for Christian. They go to 3-1. In 11A, another big matchup. Always a big matchup when West Central is playing. And they were hosting, or excuse me, they were on the road at Del Rapids tonight. And here you go, the Warriors.
Homecoming.
In the homecoming orange and black there. Del's 2-1 coming into this one. West Central got a big win last week to get their first win, but Del's quarterback is Carson Rentz. And he hooks it up here with Jeffrey Shue. And that's the second play of the game for Del Rapids. They go up 7-0. And then Nick Bover had a good night on the ground.
Del Rapids, sneaky good in this class. People always talk about the St. Thomas Moors, the West Centrals, you know, even Tri-Valleys and these teams. Nobody's talking about Del Rapids. This was a powerful win. They are really getting better. They're a dangerous team as we get past the midway point.
Del's goes up 14-0, and then Devin Gary had a couple of touchdown runs. Nice move there for Gary, and it's 14-7. Del Rapids in the lead at halftime.
Team speed is very good for West Central, but their size, they're not as big as they have been in the past, and Del Rapids took advantage of that. Bover with another big touchdown run.
Del's tacks on a couple of third-quarter touchdowns. They go up 28-7. West Central staying in it. Devin Gary on that West Central sweep again and cutting it back. His second touchdown of the night to make it 28-13. But here is Rentz again. Carson Rentz. And a touchdown pass to Alex Kringen. And Del Rapids will win it at home on homecoming.
How about that? That was definitely an upset. I did not see that coming. I thought West Central maybe was rebounding and going on the right track, but take notice. These Del Rapids Warriors are tough. They played a physical brand of football. West Central could not keep up with them.
West Central is 1-3. Del's is 3-1. And again, they play Madison next week. Madison with a win over Vermillion tonight, 42-0. And a little bonus from West River. What do we got?
We got Irene first. This is Irene taking
Irene
on
Wakanda.
Howard.
And Howard in a big 9-man matchup.
Yeah, both teams coming in undefeated. Both teams looking to be ranked. Trey King has had a phenomenal year. Airs one out here to Dallas Lee, who does the rest of the work and gets them in the end zone. That takes a 26-14 lead at home.
Irene Wakanda and Howard here, they were tied 28-all at the end of the third quarter. And Irene Wakanda in 9AA wins it 42-36. They knock off Howard, the top team in 9A. It's the first loss of the season for the Howard Tigers, and Irene Wakanda wins that one. And here is Harrisburg and
Douglas. There they are, racing for the first touchdown of the game. Douglas gets on the board. This was sloppy conditions, and it got even worse. It looks a little misty there. It got downright nasty in this game after that touchdown.
I believe it's,
I think we're 7-7 right here.
Yep.
And then the fumbled snap.
This is a Chance Sorensen who takes a touchdown in here. This is the fourth quarter. Douglas takes a 14-7 lead after the touchdown run there by Sorensen. Harrisburg, though, will come back and score on a Jack Anderson touchdown to get within a point.
We're talking, what, less than a minute in the game here, about 30 seconds left when he scores this touchdown. You think, that's all right, Harrisburg gets the tie here. They went for an extra point, penalty on Douglas, had half the distance. Went for an extra point again, penalty on Douglas, half the distance. So they march out the big guys and say, we're going for it from a foot out. Watch the result.
Yeah, well, you know what's coming here.
They're going for the win here.
I'm not sure who makes the stop here for Douglas, but somebody gets through, and they take down big back there, jar it loose. And Harrisburg, as you said, after two penalties on Douglas, they go for the two to try and win it. There's still about 30 seconds left in the ball game. Douglas runs it out, and the Patriots knock off the #1 team in 11AA. 14-13 the final, Douglas over Harrisburg.
Just when you think you have high school football figured out, Douglas gets crushed last week, give up 70-plus points to Pierre. Pierre was losing by multiple touchdowns to Harrisburg earlier this year. And then Harrisburg goes to Douglas and does what? I know it was crazy conditions. I know there was a wet football. There was some freak touchdowns. But still, it's crazy. That's why we love Friday nights.
All right, we got to go, Jenny. We'll be back with zone coverage. We'll go back up to Jody in Fargo. He's got a preview of West Fargo and Bismarck Legacy and some post-game comments from the coaches and the players tonight. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Let's go back up to Fargo now. Jody Norstedt standing by with some post-game from tonight's games. Jody, take it away.
Yeah, guys, and as I promised, we had that Civil War game, North versus South, an awesome rivalry that has really been one-sided as of late, with South winning 15 of the last 16 games. Let's take a look at these highlights. Homecoming for the Fargo South Bruins, and it was raining. Of course, it was everywhere up here. Jealous? Scoreless in the first quarter. Bruins QB Tanner DuBois somehow evades the defenders. Boy, what a miracle worker here. Then finds a seam on the left side, scampers into the end zone, makes it 7-zip. Same score late in the second. Weather makes its first impact. Spartans lining up for the punt, but there goes the ball through the legs of the punter. South takes over in great position. Just a few plays later, Victor Isaac goes untouched into the end zone. A huge momentum swing just before the half. Makes it 14-0 Bruins at the break. That would be key. Now early in the third, North gets on the board. Peyton Fisher crosses the goal line, sliding a few yards thanks to the wet grass. Fast forward to the fourth, just over 6 minutes of play. North facing a 4th and 7 at the Bruin 12. Hyatt Martineau's pass falls incomplete. Bruins take over, but the Spartans get another chance now with 2 minutes to go. Martineau looking across the middle, but Jimmy Balaza comes up with the interception to seal it. The second game-cinching pick for him this season. The Bruins hang on for the hard-fought 14-6 victory, and their record remains unscathed. So a big win for the Bruins tonight. Let's hear from the head coach, Tyler Kozel.
That 4th down stop was absolutely huge. Our defense played lights out all night, and Jimmy Balaza, he's made the play in overtime with the interception tonight to seal it. So he's played great as a senior, and our defense really has a lot of confidence right now. They're flying, so it's been a lot of fun coaching them.
That play, coach just had me doing everything, put me in right positions to make a play, and my teammates helping me keep on, making me do a great job in practices. Coaches do a great job of helping us get in good position to make a great play, and right there, coaches just expect me to make a great play, and I just did that for the team, and I'm glad I was able to catch that ball. Kind of bobbled it, but everything up to God, and thank God for that.
Nice moment there for Fargo South, still unbeaten. How about them Bruins? Century, we took a look at these highlights earlier, but we only got one highlight in, so we'll see that again. And then how about a few more? Jacob Olson, you know the story, to Cade Lynch for the touchdown to go up 7-0. Cade Lynch, again, making his season debut from a meniscus injury that he suffered early on in training camp practice. He's one of Century's main players, so it's good to have him back. Wasn't there when they lost to Cheyenne in the opener. There is a blocked punt at the Dickinson 11-yard line. So Century now with the ball back. Jacob Olson, boy, he's looking like the Jacob Olson of last year now. Devin Vance, touchdown. Century in front, 14-0. Ron Wingenbach loving all that. Then it's Olson finding the end zone, or finding a big third down play here to Kawhi King. Just lofts it up there. Century receivers catching everything on this evening. Next play after the Kling reception, Century rumbles into the end zone. Casey Foss maneuvering his way, following some great blocks, and then turns on the speed for the touchdown. 21-zip. Century fans loving all of this tonight. Dickinson had a tough time. Here's a little run by Martin Lopez, but yards were just tough to come by for the Midgets tonight. A frustrating night for John Tuchscher and the Midgets as they fall in this one. 34-0. Century on top in this one. They will play at Williston next week. Meanwhile, Dickinson will try to get its first win against Mandan, who's, like we mentioned, been a little bit snake bit as of late. Bismarck, as we mentioned yesterday, got that win over Mandan. It was a 27-20 victory. We caught up with the head coach of the Bismarck Demons after that one, Mark Gibson. Again, that dramatic overtime victory. Here are the coach's thoughts.
Bottom line is you hit it right on the head. I mean, we were very resilient tonight, and Vince's a very good football team that we knew going in they're going to fight us, and they did. And I give our kids a lot of credit for hanging in and finding a way to win at the end. But that was a head knocker, and we knew that going in. But I thought our quarterback played extremely well down the stretch, and we made some big plays through the air. And we got to make those kind of plays when games are like this. We were really poor up front first half. I think we challenged kids at halftime a little bit, and that was kind of what we talked about, was just let's go out and do what we do. And we made a couple blocking scheme adjustments from what they were doing. Just got to give them a lot of credit. They had a good scheme against us, and took us two quarters to figure it out. But once we did that, I thought offensively we moved the ball pretty well, and our defense hung in. They're on the field a lot tonight, and but these are hard on the heart.
Big win for the Demons. Now let's go to 2A quick. Jamestown won tonight 14-0. They were ranked 4th in state. Wapton won 50-0. They're ranked 5th in state. St. Mary's and Devils Lake square off tomorrow in a big one. But Shanley tonight getting a big 48-7 win. The second-ranked Deacons now with a backup quarterback filling in. Caden Kuhneman injured with a broken collarbone, as we mentioned. Busack steps in, has a really good game tonight. Here's Brad Anderson with a recap of that one.
Well, Shanley moving to 4-0. They scored on all 7 of their possessions in the first half to take a 48-0 lead and they cruised to victory. 48-7 was the final. That touchdown they gave up in the fourth quarter was just the second touchdown they had given up all season long and ended a stretch of 11 quarters without giving up a point, as their quarterback Cade Busick in for the injured Caden Kuhneman, who's out for more than likely most of the regular season with an arm injury. Busick was 12 of 17, 235 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 2 of them to Cam Seville to go at 5 catches, 130 yards, 2 as well to Jake Cava. Shanley defense forced 3 turnovers, including a pair of interceptions by Calvin Hopper, and they held Central Cass to under 150 yards of total offense. The Shanley offense had over 400 yards in the first half and ended up with just over 480 yards of total offense.
Now, guys, there's also a big game on Saturday night between the 2 best teams in Class 3A. Second-ranked Bismarck Legacy hosts top-ranked West Fargo in a battle of unbeatens. We caught up with them earlier this week to get their thoughts on the big matchup.
1, 2, 3, 7.
There are plenty of reasons to smile at Bismarck Legacy football practice these days. The Sabres are off to a 3-0 start and appear to be one of the favorites in the WDA.
We think that since the beginning of the summer, since we've been working together, that we didn't know how well we were going to do, but we were pretty excited to start the season off, and that coming off to a 3-0 start is like one of the best things that could happen.
The pass-happy offense is where it starts for the Sabres. Jason Huckstra is the only starting quarterback the program has had in its 3 years of varsity football, and through 3 games, he's already passed for 11 touchdowns.
You know, Jason does things well. He understands what's going on. Not only does he understand what he's doing, but he probably understands what the other 10 guys on the field are doing, and it's very important.
Last year, I'd kind of get a little antsy and leave the pocket early. I wouldn't sit in there. I wouldn't do my full reads, my full progression. So I think this year I'm kind of the game slowed down a little bit for me.
The challenge that awaits Huckstra next will be the toughest to date. The West Fargo defense has been stingy this season against some of the best competition in the state, and the Packers are well aware of how the Sabres like to open it up.
Legacy throws the ball like crazy. They got a 3-year starter. He's a wonderful quarterback. There's very good athletes there. They won the track meet for a reason. It's because they've got a lot of good athletes. So we will have to defend pass.
I remember them being really big guys, really fast guys, you know, all around a really good team, and their quarterback is a really good athlete, and he can really throw the ball well.
Ironically, those words of praise uttered by Packers QB Andy Gravdahl are the same words used to describe his play so far this season. The second-year starter has passed for 7 scores and rushed for 4 more in leading West Fargo to its 3-0 mark.
This team is really exceeding every expectation of mine and all the coaches. I mean, everyone's stepping up and doing their job, and nothing can go wrong right now.
What you get with a great quarterback like Andy is he can extend periods of time for us to run routes. So when he gets away from that pressure, you know, we're all trained. We played with him for a while, you know. When he gets out of the pocket, we're going to come back to the ball, and he'll keep looking downfield and find us, and if he can't find us, he'll run. And when he runs, you know, they can't tackle him very easily.
Not only is he a very good passer, but he's got, you know, he uses his feet very well also. So, you know, it's try to hopefully keep him in the pocket and keep him in front of us, and, you know, we have our work cut out for us.
It's clear the respect is there for one another, but when it's time for kickoff, these 2 teams will be out to prove a point.
We're ready to show the state like who Legacy is, and then that we're a new program, but we can battle just with anybody.
They're probably looking at us. They're not scared, but they probably want to play us too, and we want to play them.
I love playing great competition. We all do. And we just love to come out and prove that we are the best team in North Dakota. And we think that we are, and as long as we keep thinking we are and keep playing the way that we are, and, you know, we'll just try to beat everyone that comes at us.
And guys, if the Packers are able to win, it will be their 4th consecutive victory over a state-ranked opponent. Quick Class A update, guys. Ben Hogarth, we featured him earlier this week. 244 rush yards and 3 touchdowns tonight in a win over Northern Cass. He has over 1,000 rushing yards already through 4 games. And they get top-ranked Ellendale Edgley Cullum next week.
I believe you caught up with Mr. Hogarth, and we'll have a little feature on him on Midco Sports tonight this week?
Yep.
All right, sounds good.
All right, nice work. Thanks, Jody. All right, let's get to a little bit of South Dakota reaction here, Jandy. Sioux Falls Roosevelt beat Yankton tonight 34-17, but you don't think they were real happy with that margin of victory?
Wasn't the most clean effort. It was very close early on. A couple big plays bailed them out. Head coach Kim Nelson wasn't totally thrilled with the big win.
I was very frustrated at halftime with the way things went. We scored quickly on a good first drive and got a couple. Carter Lohr comes in, hits a long touchdown pass to put us up. And I think we quit concentrating. We quit playing hard, and our effort was bad, I thought, especially on offense. And that kind of carries over sometimes to the other side of the ball. So at halftime, I was really frustrated with the way we were playing, and so I tried to motivate them a little bit. And I felt better about our effort the second half. We still sputter on offense. We just can't keep anything consistent going, and we got to fix that. I got to fix that. So still got work to do. I'm happy for the win, obviously, and I just feel like we have a long way to go.
All right. He's not going to settle. I mean, they've got high expectations now every year.
It comes back to the line. They've got a good center. They really need to build the rest of that offensive line.
All right, they get the win tonight over Yankton, though. And another big win in 11B. It was Sioux Valley at home with a 21-14 win over Sioux Falls Christian. And here is Sioux Valley head coach Dan Hughes after that win.
It's pretty big. I don't know if we've had a #1 team get beat on this field in a while, so it means a lot to a lot of different people. A lot of people contributed to this, from youth coaches down the road, middle school. A lot of people had their hand in this one, so it feels good for all of us. One game doesn't make a season, and we know that. One play doesn't make a game, but we'll refocus. I gave them 24 hours to enjoy it as much as they can, squeeze all the enjoyment out of it. And I know our team, we're disciplined. We'll be back in 24 hours. We'll be ready to work again.
All right.
Big win.
They are at Lennox, Sioux Valley at Lennox, coming up next week. When we come back, we got the rundown, one big, huge, game-changing play from all of the games we had highlights of tonight, and a look at a very big college football game coming up on Saturday here on Midco Sports Network.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports Network is presented by Farmers Union Insurance Agency and South Dakota State University.
Welcome back. This is the rundown. Let's get to it, Jandy. O'Gorman struck to Bauer has become the connection.
Love that catch. Great play by Kenny Bauer. Looking into the sun. 47-7 win.
Washington rolls at Mitchell. Jaden Johansson doing his work.
He can find so many different receivers. He threw a great game tonight. Peyton Yalke catches that one.
Sioux Falls Roosevelt against Yankton tonight, and this is in the second half after Yankton had come back, made it a ball game. And the Riders take back the onside kick for a touchdown.
Travis Pearson looked like he was going to go down. This was probably the best play of their night. A couple touchdowns for Barnes in that one as well.
Big win for Sioux Valley tonight at home. They stay undefeated with a win over Sioux Falls Christian.
They really played a physical brand of football. That will put them on the map. Great run right there, and Damian Lucas had a great night for the Cossacks as well.
Tyler Schwartz with that touchdown there. Rapid City Stevens is 3-1.
Excuse
me, Del Rapids with a win over West
They are 3-1. Yeah, the Del Rapids Warriors getting a homecoming win against their rivals just down the street. Always a big win for the Warriors.
Hey, Rapid City Stevens is 3-1.
They are 3-1. Cody Bevere, he is an electric player, folks. He gets his hands on the ball. This happens a lot.
96 yards for the score for Bevere tonight as Stevens gets a 14-0 win. In North Dakota, West Fargo Cheyenne facing Gallrup.
Big run for Gallrup, and they get another win. West Fargo Cheyenne could be for real. And how about Grand Forks Central? A win over Red River. They haven't done this in almost a decade. Huge win for the Knights.
Bismarck on Thursday night. The Demons get a win over Mandan with a late touchdown.
Yeah, this was a thriller right to the last minute. You heard Coach Gibson talk about it. Meant a lot to this program.
Fargo South is unbeaten at 4-0.
Tanner DuBois, he's just making plays this year. Had a tough team against Fargo North. Not the same Fargo North we've seen over the last couple of years.
Fargo Shanley with a whopping of Central Cass tonight.
Yeah, despite a couple of injuries, Shanley outlasts them. They looked really good.
Del Axe Burlington gets a win over Bishop Ryan tonight, 14-7.
Yeah, Del Axe Burlington, great effort by them, 14-7, and Should be fun. We've got a lot on Midco Sports Network this weekend, including UND USD.
2 o'clock tomorrow live. UND at South Dakota here on Midco Sports Network. Thanks for watching.